I have pulled over. I'm across the street from the future city, which is now just these enormous wind turbines. It's actually a beautiful day out here. It's been raining, so everything's green and the sky is blue and the wind turbines are turning, and it does look quite idyllic.
So piece of cake. They can build it, no problem.
It's 19 degrees. It's 19 degrees where we are.
Yeah, we kind of
okay,
don't like you right now, Karen, but that's okay.
I'll keep it to myself. Okay.
No. So tell us about this project. Give us a little bit of the who, what, where, and why, just for those who might not be familiar.
Sure. So we are in Solano County, which is of the very exurbs of the San Francisco Bay Area. This is still a largely rural community, some subdivisions. We're about halfway between between San Francisco and Sacramento. And this area became a subject of fascination, Solano County. In the last few years, a mysterious land buyer started snapping up parcels of land for often very inflated prices. And nobody knew who this individual was or individuals. They were operating under a mysterious name, Flannery and Associates, which is just taken off a street sign in this county. And they were basically, the investors were outed last summer. It's all the boldface names you mentioned. It's Mike Moritz, Lorene Powell Jobs, Mark Andreessen, Reid Hoffman, a who's who of Silicon Valley investors. And they poured what we now, so far $900 million into a as yet unseen new city that will be, literally is supposed to be, stood up in what are now, fields used for grazing and wind power. And the idea is to build this green new city. It's part of the new urbanist movement, which is to have walkable neighborhoods. In introducing their plans today, the developers, the planners talked about creating what sounds like a dream to most Californians, which is a place where you can walk to anywhere you want to be in any given day in 10 minutes. So that could be your job. It could be your child's school. It could be a library, a barbershop, a cafe, or your place of employment, or your own small business.
It's very Lefrak City. Like, I think about that concept right back, right? Like, Sam Lefrak and I, across the water from here, in Jersey City, downtown Jersey, that whole idea that Lefrak did the same thing, the family, this whole Newport area where you could live, work, there are schools, everything you could easily get to.
But Karen, talk about the opposition. Exactly. Yeah, talk a little bit about the opposition and how this is going to a vote now.
Yes. So the reason that the opposition is very important is because in California, and particularly in this county, it's governed by a land use measure that was designed in the 1980s to prevent sprawl. And so none of this land is zoned for housing or manufacturing or technology or any of the things that the planners would like to have. So they have to go to the voters and get their approval to change the county zoning regulations. The problem here is that they have alienated already some key constituencies. One would be, the farmers who comprise a large part of the population here. And as you mentioned in your intro, the organizers, the developers have sued several of the farmers, claiming collusion and price fixing simply because they wanted, they didn't want to. They wanted a high price for their property once they saw that the farmer next door got more. So it's kind of supply and demand. So there's a very contentious lawsuit. They've also terribly irritated two local members of Congress, John Garamendi and Mike Thompson, who represent this area. That are very close to Travis Air Force Base, which is the largest Air Force base on the West Coast and a key gateway to the Pacific. So there were some national security concerns when they were in stealth mode. And then the conservationists in this area are wondering, why would you not infill the existing small cities in this county rather than carving a brand new one out of farmland? They're accusing the developers of creating sprawl or planning sprawl rather than, this utopian green city, which is what they unveiled today.
These are venture capitalists. They're used to putting money into things and making an incredible return. Is that the plan for this city? I mean, cities are public good. They're owned by the residents. They're not owned by anyone. How does the governance work here? We have about a minute left, but explain how that would work here.
Yeah, so the planner of this whole operation is a 36-year-old guy named Jan Schramek, who's originally from the Czech Republic and has spent some time at Goldman Sachs, some startups, has the Silicon Valley thing going on. And he it keeps saying, my investors, this is patient capital. Well, if there's one thing Silicon Valley isn't known for, it's patient capital. But Schramek, it's the planner, he's talking about, a 50-year time frame before this community is fully built out. And so this is not, he said, I hope I'll retire off of this project. This guy's in his 30s. So the time frame for building a city, in history, it's centuries or millennia. And in this case, they're talking about 50 years, which is pretty fast by city building standards. But I think that is really one of the unanswered questions is what kind of return on investment are they expecting and what is the time frame? Is it to prove a concept, which is that we can go back to the future and recreate walkable American cities like we saw, in the early 19th century? There is a kind of a nostalgia piece to this when fused with green energy.
Karen,